mis hijas esperándolos en la casa. 6 niñas tengo que dependen de nosotros.
Millions of Filipino families who followed every rule are now at risk of being shut out of America, and it's all because of one immigration bill. The U.S.-Philippines immigration connection has always been more than paperwork. It's a lifeline built on sacrifice, built on generations of hard work and global remittances. Over 4.2 million Filipino Americans live in the United States today. 2 million were born in the Philippines, and in 2024 alone, Filipinos sent home over $38 billion, almost 9% of the country's GDP. Those dollars pay for food, housing, tuition, and medicine. They've lifted entire villages, and a massive portion of that comes from families working in the U.S. legally. But all of that is now on the chopping block. A new immigration proposal, disguised as reform, could soon slam the door on Filipino families. Introduced by Senator Jim Banks, the Nuclear Family Priority Act sounds reasonable at first. But dig deeper, and it's clear. This bill is designed to quietly erase long-standing paths to legal migration. If passed, it would eliminate green cards for siblings and married adult children of U.S. citizens. It would also cut family-based visas from $226,000 a year down to $80,000. That's a 65% reduction overnight. At the same time, Republicans are pushing a budget plan to raise immigration fees, strip benefits from legal residents, and prioritize deportation efficiency. Behind all of it? A blueprint called Project 2025, the Trump-backed immigration manifesto that aims to replace family reunification with a cold, points-based system. What does that mean for Filipinos? It means decades of legal sponsorships could be wiped away. Thousands of Filipino workers, retirees, students, and caregivers waiting in line could lose their chance forever. It means families separated by oceans might never reunite, not because they did anything wrong, but because the rules were rewritten mid-journey. And while the Philippines wasn't on Trump's 2025 travel ban list, experts warn it could be added if economic or political tensions escalate. The warnings aren't theoretical anymore. They're real and happening now. One Filipina green card holder was detained this year, despite living legally in the U.S. for nearly 50 years. Her arrest sent shockwaves across the Filipino diaspora. The Philippine ambassador's response was blunt. Permanent residency is a privilege, not a right. And yes, it can be revoked. This is the reality in 2025. Filipino immigrants, especially the elderly, caregivers, and legal residents, are now living in fear that a simple error or policy shift could end everything they've built. USCIS and DHS processing times are ballooning. Visa backlogs are now being used as excuses to deny, delay, or revoke applications. Even families with green cards are getting caught in sweeps and audits. Let's talk numbers. Pew Research shows Filipino migration to the U.S. has exploded by 90% over the past 2 decades. Filipinos now make up the 3rd largest Asian group in America. Nearly half are immigrants, and most came here through legal family sponsorship or job-based visas. But the laws that built that pathway, the ones that allowed families to sponsor siblings, children, and parents, are the exact laws Congress is trying to kill. And quietly, the government is already testing new enforcement powers. Under Project 2025, even skilled worker programs like the H-1B could be gutted. Filipinos make up 3% of those visa holders, most in healthcare and education. These aren't just jobs, they're lifelines. In hospitals across America, 1 in every 25 nurses is Filipino. That's over 200,000 workers on the front lines of care. And now, many of them are watching the door close behind them. Legal pathways that once felt stable are turning into traps. Students graduating from U.S. programs are afraid to apply for OPT. Retirees hoping to join their kids are being told their petitions are no longer valid. Sponsorship wait times are doubling or disappearing. This isn't just policy, this is people. It's Bianca and Francis, Filipino nurses who studied, passed, and trained to work in U.S. hospitals, now afraid their job offers will be pulled because of changing rules. It's Michelle, a mother of 3, detained in Washington for 4 months because of a minor paperwork error, despite holding a valid green card. It's Llewellyn, a 64-year-old Filipina who lived legally in America for 5 decades, detained at her own home after returning from the Philippines. These are not isolated incidents. These are warnings. From Los Angeles to New York, from Dallas to Honolulu, Filipino families are bracing for impact. In June 2025, ICE detained over 100 people in a single week in LA alone, including a legal homeowner who sponsored relatives. The Philippine consulate scrambled to respond. That same week, hundreds of Filipino families attended emergency legal webinars. Some began canceling study plans. Others started sleeping with go bags packed at the door. And yes, the fear is spreading. Because the bond between the Philippines and the U.S. has always been more than policy. It's been human. It's been about sacrifice, hard work, and the belief that if you do things the right way, you'll be welcomed. But in 2025, that belief is under fire. You can pay taxes, raise kids, and contribute to 2 countries at once, and still find yourself questioned, delayed, detained, or denied. You can follow every rule and still lose everything. That's why we're telling this story. Because Filipino immigrants have shaped America's workforce, economy, and communities for generations. Because 8.3% of the Philippine economy depends on remittances, much of it from legal residents in the U.S. And because right now, lawmakers are rewriting the future with policies that forget the past. So what can you do? Start by staying informed. Share this video. Tag someone who needs to see it. Talk to your family. Get legal advice. Don't assume you're safe just because your status is current. Because in 2025, safety isn't guaranteed anymore. And if we stay silent, doors will close, families will break, and everything built by generations could be erased with the stroke of a pen. This isn't fear-mongering. It's a warning backed by law, policy, and lived reality. Now the question is, what will you do with it? Let's not pretend this is just a political issue. This is personal. It's emotional. It's about the people who fill our hospitals, teach our children, care for our elders, and wire money back home every single month to keep families afloat. It's about the caregivers in Florida who haven't seen their kids in a decade because of backlogged visas. It's about the teachers in Texas working 2 jobs while waiting on their parents' green card approval, only to hear the rules have changed again. It's about the undocumented students who came here as minors, graduated top of their class, and now live in fear that even a traffic stop could destroy everything they've built. These are the quiet contributions no lawmaker seems to mention when slashing family visas or raising processing fees. And yet, every time America has needed help, Filipinos have shown up. During COVID-19, Filipino nurses represented a disproportionate number of frontline deaths, not because they were reckless, but because they were there when no one else would be. They stepped up in ICUs, nursing homes, and ERs, not knowing their legal status might be the very thing used against them later. And now, those same workers are staring down new policies that would rip apart the very families they've been supporting for years. So where's the outrage? Why is the most loyal, law-abiding immigrant group being punished first? Community leaders are starting to speak up, but it's not enough. Petitions are circulating, webinars are being held, legal organizations are bracing for more cases. But let's be honest, awareness is still low, media coverage is spotty, and unless people feel personally connected, they scroll right past it. That's why your voice matters now more than ever. Maybe your friend is a nurse, maybe your classmate has a Filipino caregiver at home, Maybe your coworker sends half his paycheck to Bataan every month. Maybe you've never even thought about it. Until now. But now that you know, you can't unknow it. What's happening in 2025 is a turning point. Will the U.S. keep the promise it made to millions of immigrant families who followed the rules, paid their dues, and contributed quietly? Or will it tear up those promises, on paper and in practice, while pretending nothing changed? Filipino communities across the U.S. are preparing for the worst. Some are accelerating citizenship applications. Some are calling lawyers. Others are booking flights, just in case. And yet, through all of this, they're still showing up, still working, still caregiving, still contributing. Because that's what Filipinos do. They don't just survive, they carry others with them. But that strength is being tested. And unless more people, immigrants and citizens alike, start speaking up, this crackdown will only get worse. Quiet communities will stay quiet, and policies will continue to be passed without resistance. That's the final warning this video leaves you with. Don't wait for it to knock on your door. Don't assume your papers, your job, or your history will protect you. Don't stay silent just because it hasn't hit your family yet. Because this isn't just a policy fight. It's a fight for dignity, for fairness, and for the right to stay in the country you helped build. Let's make sure that when history looks back at this moment, it sees a community that didn't just disappear, but stood its ground and fought to be seen.